सो हेलो, मेरा नाम अरशद है। सच बताना, क्या तुम बिना रुके 21 दिन तक एक ही हैबिट फॉलो कर सकते
Ally the insecurity. Everyone has particular insecurity about their look, their creativity, power, and masculine, their power status, their uniqueness, their popularity criteria. That your task is to get that insecurity through the various conversation you draw them into. Once you identify them, you must first be extra careful not to trigger them. Second, the best strategy is to praise and flatter those qualities that people are most insecure about. The key to successful flatter is to make it strategic. If I know that I am particularly awful at the basket, praising me for the basketball skill in anyway will ring false. But if I am uncertain about my skills, if I imagine I am perhaps not really so bad, then any flattery on that score I can work wonders. Look for those qualities people are uncertain about their offer reassurance. It is always better to praise people for their efforts, not their talent. Everyone likes to feel their earn their good fortune through hard work, and that is where you must aim your praise. With people who are you equal, you have more room to flatter. With those who are you superior, it's best to simply agree with their opinion and validate their wisdom. Never follow up your praise with a request for help. Whatever it is you are after, flattery is a setup and irritation in the first encounter, or to better to show even a little coldness, which will give you a room to warm up. After a few days you have grown to like this person, and then a few flattering words him, and the insecurities will begin to melt the resistance. If possible, get a third party to pass along your compliment as if they had simply overheard them. Never to be lavish in your praise or use absolute. The clever way to cover your track is to mix in some small criticisms of the person on their work. Nothing that will trigger insecurity, but enough to give your praise or more realistic. I love your screenplay, although I felt Act 2 might need a little work. Be very careful when people ask you for their opinion and about their work or something related to their character or their look. They do not want the truth. They want support and confirmation. Give us a realistic as possible. Be happy to supply this for them. You must seem as sincere as possible. It would be best to choose quality to praise that you actually admire it, if at all if at all possible. In any event, what give people away is the non-verbal cue praising, along with the stiff body language or a fake smile or eye glancing elsewhere. Try to feel some of the good emotion. Expressing any aggression will seem less obvious. Keep in mind that you target must have a relatively high self-opinion. If it low, as the flattery will not jive with the how they feel all about themselves, will ring hollow, whereas for those of high self-opinion, it will seem only natural. Use people resistance and stubbornness. Some people are particularly resistant to any form of influence. They will seek advice for particular problem or symptoms, only to find dozen of the reason why advice given won't work for them. The best thing to do, play a game of a mental judo with them. In judo, you do not counter people moves with a thrust of your own, but rather encourage and their aggressive energy resistance. Order to make them fall on their own, here are some way to put this into practice in everyday life. Use their emotions. In essence, the idea is not to counter people's strong emotion, but to move with them, find a way, channel them in a production direction. Use their language. When you use people, word back at them is hypnotic effect. How can they not follow you? What you suggest when it exactly the word they have used. Use their rigidity when people are rigid in their opposite opposition or something. It stems from the deepest fears of change and uncertainty could bring. They must have and everything on their terms and feel in control. You play into their hand. If you try and will advise, encourage change, it gives them something to react against. The justify the rigidity. They become more stubborn. Stop fighting with such people and use their actual nature of the rigid behavior to affect a gentle change. There could lead to something greater on their own as they discover something new and their own. They might take this further, all set up by your Judum. Keep in mind the following: people often want to what other ask them to do because they simply want to assert their will. If you hardly agree with the rebellion, tell them to keep on doing what they are doing in now means if they do as they are following your advice, which is distasteful to them, they may very feel rebel against the asset set their will in the opposite direction, which is why what you wanted along the essence of reverse psychology, the flexible mind self strategy. As children, our mind were remarkably flexible. We we could learn at the rate of fast surprise or adult capture capacity. We can attribute much of the sources of this power to our feeling of weakness or sensing our inferiority in relation to those who older than us, highly motivated to learn. We were also genuinely curious and hungry for new information. We are open to influence of parents, peer, and teachers. Just as the body tightens, will age, however, so does the and just as our sense of weakness motivate the desire to learn, so does our sense of superiority slowly close up one of new idea, new influence. Some may advocate that will all become more skeptical in the modern world, but in fact, a far greater danger comes from the increasing closing mind of the affiliated individual. Fiat holder seems to be affiliated or lady. Let us define the ideal state of mind. One of the certain flexibility of youth, along with the reasoning power of adults, such a mind is open as influence of other, and just as you say with strategy, mild people resistant, you must do the same on yourself, working to often show up your rigid mental pattern. When it's come to the ideas, opinion, your whole so same them as your toy building block they're playing with, but your spirit remains flexible. Even in the writing, this is numerically your idea. There is more something soul of the thing, opening yourself, influence in the way become part of the mental habits. Finally, when it's come to your choice, aware of the existence and how it's appropriate, you come to the term within the fact that you are not autonomous as you like to believe. You do not come from the opinions of the group you belong. You do not buy the product because of subliminal influence. You can be manipulated, realize as well as that you are not good as an idealized image of your self opinion like everyone else. You can be quite self-observed and observe with your own agenda within the awareness. You will not feel any need to be validated by the other. Instead, you will make yourself truly independent and a concern with the welfare of the other, as obsessed to staying attached of the illusion of your self-opinion. Self-opinion change by your circumstance by changing your attitude. Key to human nature, we human like to imagine that we have an objective knowledge of the world. We take it for granted for thoughts received on a daily basis is reality. The reality being more or less the same for everybody. But this is an illusion. No two people sees or experience the world in the same way. What we perceive is a personal version of personal version of reality, one that is our own creation to realize critical step in our understanding of human nature. Each one has that world through particular lens that colors and shapes of perception. Let us call this a lens and attitude. This a great Swiss psychologist Alger defined into the following: attitude is the readiness as a psychic to act other certain way. To have an attitude means to be ready or something defined. Even though this is something unconscious, and have an attitude in synonymous with an a priori. Although attitudes come in many varieties and blend, we can generally categorize them as negative and narrow or positive and expansion. Those who negative attitude learn to operate from basis position of fear toward life. They consider want to live in what they say, see, and experience to give them more control. Those with a positive attitude have much less of a fearful approach. They are open to new experience, ideas, emotion. If the attitude is like our lens in the world, negative attitude narrow the aperture of the lens and the positive variation expand as it is far possible. Your task as the student of human nature is twofold. First, you must become aware of your own attitude and how it slants your perceptions. It is hard to observe this in your day-to-day life because it is so close to you, but there are way to catch glimpse of it in action. You can see it in how you judge people when they are out. Your presence are quick to focus on the negative quality and bad opinion are more generous and forgiving. When it's come to their flaws, you will see defined signs of your attitude in how you face the adversity and what resistance are you quick to forget the gloss over any mistake on your part. You will also catch sign of it. So how people respond to you, particularly in non-verbal way. Do you watch them in the nervous and defensive in your presence? Once you have a good feel on the makeup of your own attitude is negative or positive bent, you have much greater power to alter it, move it in more in the positive direction. Second, you must not only be aware of the role, your attitude must also believe in supreme power to alter your circumstances. The mind and the body are one of your and your thought affect your physical response. People can recover much more quickly, move from illness through shared desire, willpower. You are not born with fixed intelligence and inherently see your brain as a miraculous organ designed for the continuous learning and improvement will into the old age reason. A neural connection in your brain and the creative powers are something that develop to the degree. You open yourself to new experience and idea, view problems and failures has been as learned to out of yourself, or you can get up anything and persistent view the way people treat you as largely following from your own attitude, something you can control. Do not be afraid to exaggerate the role of willpower. It is an exaggeration, so the purpose it's still to positive, self-fulfilling dynamic that all you care about the seeing the shaping of your attitude as your most important creation in life. Never leave it chance. People who feel particularly weak and tend to adopt attitude toward life that narrow the experience so they can reduce the possible and expected event. The following are five most common forms of constant attitude. Negative emotion have a binding power. A person who is angry more prone to the follow also feels suspicious, deep insecurity, resentment at a criteria, and so we often find combination of these various negative attitude, each one feeding accounted in the others. Your goal is to recognize the various signs of such attitude that exist in your uh, existing India weekend from on root them to see that they are operating stronger version in other people, better understanding the perspective on life and how to handle people in the such attitude. Thank you.